40-year-old church destroyed after claims of new land ownership. Health Department launches new vaccines to fight measles and polio. Vipers and Issapears out of intercity cup race.
This is the National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
Good evening and welcome to Wednesday's news. Thanks for joining us. An eviction exercise at Laloki outside Port Moresby has broken the hearts of hundreds of Catholics, leaving their local church in ruins. The 40-year-old Catholic church in the Kairukuhiri electorate of Central Province was destroyed, leaving many people in shock. This has brought to light the defects in land title arrangements and left the Catholic Church questioning current land boundaries.
Bigoso Catholic Church here at Laloki was demolished yesterday afternoon after an individual claiming to be the new title holder came in with machines, putting down trees and even the church building. When we arrived here today, we found mothers mourning over what was once the place of prayer and worship. The Maris congregation of the Catholic Church first made contact with the landowners here at Bisogo a year before Papua New Guinea gained independence. From what we gathered from the locals here, the missionaries and the landowners had an agreement for the church to use this piece of land for evangelism.
It was started off by my uncle here, Michael, even my father. All those ones we started off. The community here at Bisoko were the ones we got together and built this church. We built a small church here in 1974.
The locals here migrated to Bisogo from Kuni more than 3 decades ago and are not quite sure whether this piece of land is under customary title or under the state's 99-year lease.
It is still customary land, so we have been settling here. We have not taken anything because no payments or no proper documents has been shown to us. It's just eviction notice, telling us that he has bought it from these guys.
However, when the Archbishop of Port Moresby, John Ribath, arrived, he came with a different story. From documents provided by the Lands Department, it showed that this particular piece of land, including other several portions within that area, is under DA arrangement. This was an arrangement in the colonial days where customary land was given to the administration then to act as a custodian. Bishop Ribath, when condemning the actions of those involved, said more investigation is needed to identify the boundaries.
Understanding belong all people. Now, line ibin onim ground. One time this tok ibin stop all same. Now long this time now this like it come up all same. Something even not clear long em. When this is done like this and no consideration for the church is given like this, then we know that our country is heading for, and our communities are heading for something. They are being forced to a situation where it will be difficult to really kind of help them well now. And if material things is put before, then the difficulty, we have to face the consequences.
The map also indicates that the church is within the boundaries of portion 292 and portion 230 is the one that is believed to have been sold out. Land Secretary Romilly Kilapet, when asked about this, said land outside city limits is all customary and the department can only facilitate deals between the local landowners and the buyer they choose to sell the land to.
The fact of the matter is that we have no right to decide for landowners, and that is the truth. And people need to understand that. Landowners make their decisions, and our role as a department is to facilitate that decision through the processes that we have.
For the local Catholic community here, all they know is that their place of worship and an historical landmark older than this country's independence is now gone. Bishal Amba, National EMTV News.
Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning Romilly Kilapet has maintained the department's stance on removing illegal settlements in Port Moresby. Mr. Kilapet said if settlers have proper land title documents, they should confirm with the department before land eviction notices are given out. He issued the same warning to developers and investors looking for land in Port Moresby. This follows a massive land eviction exercise in the past week in Port Moresby that has left hundreds homeless.
The past week has seen over 30 homes destroyed in Port Moresby. It happened due to land being claimed for development by foreign-owned companies. Today, the Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning made clear these evictions, saying the department stands firm by its decision to remove illegal settlements in Port Moresby. However, for the Danwire land at 4 Mile and Konedobu, the Secretary said a proper investigation will be carried out to how the two foreign-owned companies claim the land for development.
Now, with respect to the current eviction exercise that's been undertaken, I will immediately dispatch a team of compliance officers to inspect those sites, to verify the status of the land, and confirm the actions that have been taken by those who claim to have legitimate title. Like I said, if they have legitimate title, that's consistent, and they have right to have access to land.
He made clear of land in Port Moresby, saying the land within the limits of the city is state-owned and that customary landowners plus land title holders must be aware that Port Moresby is a growing city and land must be available for the government to deliver services.
The reality is that, state needs land to expand and provide services to our people. And if they want to claim any form of recognition, then the process is going through the National Land Titles Commission for titles, and for compensation is through the National Lands Commission. And these two offices are held or are under the Department of Justice and Attorney General.
Meanwhile, he issued a warning to developers wanting land in the city. Kilapat said they must go through the Lands Department to acquire proper land titles and documents. However, he said if developers are dealing directly with landowners, then the department will only act as facilitators to agreements made between landowners and developers.
Those people who are undertaking this eviction exercise must have evidence of a clear title issued by the department through the process of land board. And the title is formally registered with the department. Therefore, that title gives them the right to access land for the purpose for which the land is required for.
Kilapat said the investigation into the 4 Mile and Konedobu land will be complete during the week and he will make a formal announcement on the matter. Stanley Ovett Jr., National EMTV News.
Land Secretary Romilly Kilapat says with the large number of people living in squatter settlements in the city, there are plans to relocate settlers after they are evicted. He said this is part of the Lands Department's moves towards removing illegal settlements in the city. However, he says it must be a win-win situation for both the state and settlers. With a large number of public servants also living in settlements, a collaborative effort will be made between the National Housing Corporation, the Office of Urbanization, NCDC, and the Office of Community Development to have proper plans to relocate settlers.
We need to do this collectively with other agencies and see if we can find a way forward in trying to assist these people. But for the moment, the position is very, very clear. Everybody is classified as being squatting illegally on state land. So once we are trying to get the land back, we need to also act responsibly towards finding a way forward. And I'm sure many of them would want to cooperate and work with us.
There are no special laws governing the Asylum Seeker Regional Processing Center in Manus. In a telephone interview today, Deputy Chief Migration Officer Esther Gaigaming told EMTV that PNG law is the rule of law at the center and it applies to both nationals and expatriates. The alleged rape of a PNG woman by expatriate contractors at the center last month has sparked debates on whether or not the center is governed by PNG laws. Gaigaming says the center was established and is managed under PNG laws. She further says they have conducted an investigation into the alleged rape incident and will hand the final report to the Prime Minister's office soon. National EMTV News continues after the break. New vaccines launched, PNG lacking in MDG goal to achieve universal primary education, and NARI show focuses on rice. Those stories after the break. Welcome back to the news. More effort is needed to adequately carry out immunization programs in the country. Health Minister Michael Malabag said immunization access for children in rural areas has slowed down in the past 3 years. He said this at the launch of 2 new vaccines, the measles, rubella and the inactivated polio vaccine at Parliament's State Function Room today.
The 2 new vaccines launched today by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill add to the global effort to eradicate polio and measles. two deadly diseases affecting children in developing nations. Despite health being one of the top 5 priority areas of the government, the immunization coverage in PNG remains stagnant. Health Secretary Pascal Kase wants this improved.
In delivering quality health services, it is important to understand the roles and responsibilities of the levels of government.
The immunization program will roll out in 2 phases, beginning with the Highlands region, which had the lowest immunization rollout from 2009 to 2013.
According to the Polio National Certification Committee, the country is still at risk of importing wild polio virus because the routine vaccine coverage is still insufficient to protect most of our children from polio.
Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance organization, will spearhead the rollout of the vaccines, supported by WHO, the Health Department and other stakeholders.
But you're not just doing measles and rubella, you're also introducing the inactivated polio vaccine, which will protect children against polio.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says the government will put every effort to carry out this campaign and prevent unnecessary deaths.
We cannot take it for granted that some of the health challenges that we have will just disappear. It won't. It needs government, communities, and all the other stakeholders to work together in ensuring that we address those challenges.
The measles rubella will be given to children 9 months to 15 years, and the inactivated polio vaccine will be for children 3 to 12 months old. The good news for PNG is that these vaccines will be available at a fraction of the price being paid in developed nations. However, the challenge is to raise the immunization coverage, which has been under the 60% mark, meaning bringing these vaccines to children in rural communities around the country. Jack Lapave Jr., National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea has not met the Medium-Term Development Goal 2015 in achieving universal primary education. This was the statement from National Education Minister Nick Kuman. Mr. Kuman says the state now anticipates through its commitment an early achievement of the medium-term development by 2019.
The National Education Minister was in Arawa Central Bougainville for the Bougainville Education Act 2013, launching and spoke on the O'Neill Dion government's commitment to education. In the last 2 years, the national government made a deliberate political commitment, making education free from elementary to secondary, including technical and vocational training. However, Mr. Kuman said pre-education has to be complemented by quality curriculum, well-trained teachers and good infrastructure. The minister has proposed to development partners that internal revenue should target priority agenda.
Our teachers must attend to their responsibility in the classroom, but they must also have houses to sleep. The national government responsibility is to continue to ensure that their pay packets are in their bank accounts, are in their pay slip. Those are some of the commitments the government in various levels continue to put into the education system.
In the meantime, PNG is faced with a bottleneck between primary and secondary education. Primary school enrollments are increasing, but secondary schools' capacity is unfortunately not expanding at the same pace. The flexible and distance learning option has the greatest potential for growth. Kuman said it's important the post-2015 development plan agenda includes secondary education. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Tuition fee-free payments for Term 3 and 4 have been processed and should be in school accounts soon. That's from National Education Department's Acting Secretary, Dr. Uke Kombra.
Dr. Kombra made the announcement at the Bougainville Education Act 2013 launching in Arawa. The tuition fee-free policy is a national government initiative aimed to support schools in their operations.
Last year we gave 605 million. This year too we give 605 million kilo of budget long, supporting all the schools in Southern Papua New Guinea.
All schools will be notified through the media once payments for Term 3 and 4 TFF funds are ready.
We can talk about it now was the money bastard long kick in, long part of Term 3 and Term 4 TFF funds from all schools.
Dr. Kombra assured parents and citizens with schools to be responsible and take ownership. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Dealing with climate change and its effects in the country is a concern for everyone, from the government, NGOs and landowners. The National Research Institute hosted an interactive workshop today, bringing together relevant stakeholders to share ideas on tackling climate change in the country and strengthen collaboration and partnership. The workshop looked at climate change and policy issues and REDD+ activities.
The National Research Institute facilitated an important workshop today on climate change and REDD+ in Melanesia. The NRI, under the European Consortium for Pacific Studies or ECOPAS project, aims to build a database, conduct research, and promote networking in areas that are cross-cutting. Some of those include the extractive industry and environment, and culture and environment.
We talk about change in food production, productivity and yield changes and the soil changes. Now mosquitoes, previously it was at the coastal level, but now it's going up to the highlands. These are the things that we believe it's the impact of climate change as addressed elsewhere. So PNG need to contribute that with our Pacific friends and also show to the global community that we are also addressing and trying to deliver this issue with results that we would like to achieve.
Joe Pokana from the Office of Climate Change and Development gave a presentation on the progress of climate change and REDD+, progress in implementation, and support from government.
The climate change management bill, and we are fortunate that it has already passed, so it now gives more teeth to the policy itself. In the bill itself, I think we took we listened to our stakeholders, what they have commented, what we need to put in the bill, and we have put in one of the important aspects of the bill is the recognizing the landowner's right through what we call the free, prior, informed consent, which 85% of the landowners say give their consent, we can be able to develop REDD or whatever activities that we wanted to do.
Another stakeholder is the PNG Eco-Forestry Forum, whose main role is to bring the awareness out to people, especially the traditional owners and custodians of large areas of landmass.
When the issue was first addressed in this country, people were thinking that REDD is about money. There was more money in this issue. So people are saying I'm going to conserve my forest because I'm going to receive millions and millions. There is this misunderstanding of this concept. And so we slowly try to educate them. No, it's not about money. It's about your life.
Mr. Parker said 79% of the country's economy comes from the mineral resources sector, while 20% comes from the renewable sector. He said, however, that the government needs to invest more in the renewable sector to minimize any economic risks if and when mineral resources become depleted. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Rice development and cultivation in remote parts of the country took center stage today at the Nari Show in Leh. The National Agricultural Research Institute is promoting agricultural SMEs and empowering rural farmers to plant crops in high demand such as rice. Local farmers are being encouraged to plant the crop and sell to distributors. Bethany Harriman with this report.
Today's Nari Show was all about promoting what Papua New Guineans can do to participate in an economy. In these pictures, Nari personnel showing visitors in their tents rice varieties that have become the center of today's show. In the next 10 Trukai Industries, PNG's rice distributing giant demonstrating the concept of milling and polishing rice, something that can be done by a local farmer to cut back on imported rice. Papua New Guinea has been importing over 150,000 tons of rice per year since 1990.
One scientist making us starting go to factory now. All by putting additives on top of vitamin E and one by example on land. So letting additives now, okay, taking out the salimustona because of buying.
The Trukai model displayed involves a portable rice miller and polisher to process local rice that can grow in the areas colored in green, places that include West New Britain, Morobe and the East Sepik. In Morobe, Markham farmers are signing an agreement with Trukai and the provincial government that will enable the farmers to grow rice and then Trukai will purchase it from them.
In the early 60s, Papua New Guinea had an agricultural-based economy. In today's Nari Show, It showed a snapshot of the potential Papua New Guinea still has in building an agricultural-based economy that's built on agricultural SMEs and through empowering local communities to participate. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Leh.
Suspension of Octedi Mining Limited operations begins today. In a statement released, the company announced this move following a month of preparations to suspend operations. They say this is a result of continuing dry weather conditions. Lack of rainfall in key catchment areas is affecting revenue and the reliability of bringing in food, fuel and other essential supplies. OTML says almost all employees will be stood down and will be repatriated as quickly as possible. While they are stood down, these employees will receive an allowance to meet their basic needs. Several hundred personnel will be retained on site for care and maintenance of facilities and provision of essential services. The duration of this suspension is uncertain. The company will continue to actively monitor the situation and determine the appropriate time to resume operations. And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3605 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3530 US, $0.4797 Australian dollars, $0.3159 euro, and 43.74 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and copper closed lower, while coffee and cocoa closed the day higher. Palm oil and crude oil closed higher, while copper closed the day lower. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed at 213 points lower, the ASX closed at 36 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 31 points lower. Among stories after the break, PNG and Australia strengthen ties to improve aviation safety. Don't go away. Welcome back to the news. The Papua New Guinea Accident Investigation Commission has been commended for maintaining consistency and moving towards full compliance with international standards. The man in charge of the Transport Sector Support Program, Peter White, said much has been achieved over time and is optimistic further gains will be realized in the coming years.
At the second joint meeting between commissioners of the PNG Accident Investigation Commission and the Australian Transport Safety Bureau in Port Moresby today, Papua New Guinea was praised for moving towards full compliance with international standards.
As I look at the broader sector, the governance within the transport sector is continually being reviewed and updated. That is essential.
PNG Accident Investigation Commission Chief Executive Officer Captain David Inau said the independent transport safety investigation is capable of addressing issues concerning aviation safety.
We were able to clear all the backlog of accidents. Most of them are finalized. We've got 16 finalized on the website now. We got 6 to come and 1 preliminary report. The latest we've had 2 weeks ago has been investigated, and the preliminary report has been written and is posted on the website as well.
Australian Transport Safety Bureau Chief Commissioner Martin Dolan was encouraged by PNG's progress and development, saying both countries will continue to partner.
We learn from each other, and again we find new ways of improving safety and making sure that aviation remains safe and gets safer.
Joint Commissioners meetings are part of capacity development program aimed to strengthen and improve governance arrangements and performance in the management level. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Grade 8 students from 2 primary schools in Port Moresby have raised concerns that most of them will miss out on selections for grade 9 in 2016. This is due to a lack of space for students to continue their secondary education. They spoke during celebrations to mark the 2015 International Youth Day in Port Moresby this morning.
The narrow climb in the education ladder and limited job opportunities in future is causing these students to panic. While not all grade 8 students in Papua New Guinea will secure a placing in grade 9, these students from Agara and Tokarara Primary says vocational and technical centers is an education avenue the government must invest in.
They can be given the opportunity from the government to have more further education to at least earn a living.
Great establish many institutions for the dropouts so they can relay and fix their lives. That's for grade 8 dropouts. Thank you.
The limited spaces within the education system have been an annual concern for many parents and guardians. In the discussions today, the students highlighted 3 areas where they feel the government should invest in. This, they say, will minimize the unemployment rate and widen the education opportunities in higher educational levels.
And the other things they want the government to do is to put them to further their skills in vocationals to make things and sell to earn their livings.
So far, a number of provinces have created educational programs that have helped students pursue their careers and eventually finding jobs. But the fact is, at the end of Term 4 in December, thousands of grade 8 students in Papua New Guinea will not get an opportunity to go on to grade 9. However, they can pursue a career in vocational or technical centers. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
An elementary school in the Thalassia district of West New Britain province has been using English as the only language of communication in the school. This policy, endorsed by the Board of Management, has seen drastic improvements in the level of written and oral English. This is one success story in education. Fabian Hakalitz has this report.
Max Benjamin Elementary School is located in Thalassia district of West New Britain province, serving the growing population of nearby communities. The school, built in 2011 within the Walindi plantation, now enrolls 170 students, manned by 4 teachers. According to Principal Noeline Eloson, the decision to implement all curriculum teaching in English was strategic and is evident the students have progressed well while continuing to primary school.
Students have to get the books, they have to go and teach the parents how to read, write. So this is very, challenging to the students and the teachers also.
Walindi Plantation Resort has been supporting the concept of this elementary school, donating time, resources and finances. According to Mrs. Benjamin, some funds and donations were from guests of the Walindi Plantation Resort.
Right from scratch, and we have 4 classrooms, 1 library, a teacher's room.
English will continue to be the language of communication. Fabian Hakalitz, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, and a record haul of over $1 billion worth of cocaine and heroin was seized by the U.S. Coast Guard on Monday. The narcotics were seized from drug smugglers at sea during a mission off the Pacific coast, marking the U.S. Coast Guard's largest haul ever from a single mission. Alana Lay has this report.
The U.S. Coast Guard ship returned with 32 metric tons of cocaine and 2 tons of heroin, the product of 30 separate interceptions of drug smuggling vessels that included submarines and several small-powered boats known as pangas.
Thank you, Nate, and thank you to the crew of the Coast Guard cutter Stratton, who stands before you today. This is a historic day here in San Diego. It's been a common occurrence. We've had significant offloads in the last several months. Today you will see an offload of over 32 metric tons of pure, uncut cocaine, the largest drug offload in U.S. history. The wholesale value alone exceeds $1 billion. I'm not in the market of selling this, but trust me, on the street it would sell for much more.
The U.S. Coast Guard also released footage of their recent seizure of a homemade submarine packed with over 7 tons of cocaine headed to America. The drugs had a value of up to $181 million US, equivalent to over 500 million kina. Admiral Zunkoft said a total of 59 tons of narcotics have been seized off the Pacific coast during the past year, which is more than what was seized in the last 3 years combined. Alana Lay, EMTV World News.
Thailand's state prosecutor recently charged more than 100 human traffickers, 91 of whom were Thai nationals. The Southeast Asian country this week established a division exclusively for handling cases of human trafficking, corruption and misbehavior by state officials. An MOU on human trafficking was signed between several law enforcement departments, including the police and the Office of the Attorney General. Authorities said the division is much needed in handling cases that have a negative impact on the society and economy while involving highly influential figures and organized crime. Coordination agencies are to be set up at the government bodies involved to efficiently complete legal processes. You're watching National MTV News. Trukai Sports is after the break. Intercity Cup and Southern Zone Championships. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. To Rugby League and both Port Moresby Intercity Cup franchises, the Vipers and the Gulf Isapaya seasons ended over the weekend. There have been a number of issues that respective clubs have faced. Among them was not having a proper home ground, a change in management and coaching staff. Both teams struggled in the 2014 as well as the 2015 season.
Retaining much of their lineup from the 2014 season, the Port Moresby Vipers and Gulf Isapayas have struggled to turn ball possession into points. However, a number of challenges have plagued the respective clubs. After a shuffle, William Busil Jr. took over as team manager for the Vipers, giving much needed stability, but it wasn't enough for the finals run. The Isapayas encountered a similar fate, with the hope of resurrecting its poor performance, calling veteran Ted Vera as head coach to guide the Isapayas. His departure mid-season left big shoes for assistant coach Bobby Ako to fill. Unlike most clubs, the Vipers have had the appearance of a number of SP Hunters players, solely for match fitness on a monthly basis, adding experience and structure to their game plan. The Isapayas had the exposure of 4 Fijian players in an effort to strengthen ties with sister province Ba. However, respective franchises have equally fallen under par of performance, sweating out weekly routines of basic ball handling and possession. Although the season has ended for both clubs, this gives ample time for each of them to improve for season 2016. Skola Sengi, National MTV Sports.
The Southern Zone Confederate Selection Trials are into its day 3 of competition. A week-long trial is scheduled to end on Friday the 14th. A total of 20 teams have been rubbing shoulders at the Connie Tigers Oval since Monday. MTV's Shane Saroya reports.
The Southern Zone Trials consist of a round-robin format with 4 pools and 20 teams taking part. But only 6 teams will compete for a spot in the final playoff on Friday. In the matches played today, Kelione in Pool C are currently on top of the ladder with 3 wins and no losses. Kisere are on second place with 2 wins and a loss, both teams earning an automatic qualification to the knockout round tomorrow. Pool A and B will continue their final pool matches with the top 2 teams yet to be determined.
And we have the grand finals on Friday, and because most teams fly out over the weekend, so we must complete our programs within the time limit, so they can have time to move on.
In Pool D, Port Moresby Green and Nagava are tied on top as both teams have 0 losses and 3 wins in a row, and trailing them with 2 wins and 1 loss is Alatau. With 6 teams in Pool D, they see through the final pool match tomorrow before the top 2 teams are determined. 2 top teams from each of the pool will advance to the knockout stages before qualifying for the finals on Friday. The under-16, under-18 and the women's matches are still to be played and are expected to be played tomorrow. Shane Saroya, National MTV Sports.
2 athletics now and regional championships are set to go ahead in Port Moresby, Kavieng and Goroka towards the end of September. First will be the Southern Regional Championships in Port Moresby from the 18th to the 20th. Events will be conducted in the under-14, under-16, under-18 and open divisions. The New Guinea Islands Championships will be held in Kavieng on the 21st to the 23rd of September, and the same events and age divisions will be on show. The Highlands and Momasa Championships are expected in Goroka on the 25th and 26th of September. Trukai Sports continues after the break with swimming and soccer. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Ryan Pinney swam his last race at the World Aquatic Championships in Kazan, Russia in the men's 50-meter backstroke individual event. He finished in a time of 26.11 seconds, just ahead of his time of 26.14 seconds at the recent Pacific Games. His swim ranked him 35th in the world and was 0.82 seconds short of a semi-final spot. In the event 37 of the mixed 4x100 meter freestyle relay, PNG went in as favourites to win. Once again, the team was made up of Ryan Pinney, Tegan McCarthy, Barbara Valley-Skelton and Sam Segers. Ryan got the team off to a strong start, completing the first 100 meters in 50.86 seconds, with PNG in third place. Tegan and Barbara then completed the 100 meters respectively before handing over to Sam Segers. He completed the final 100 meters in 50.9 seconds. Sadly, he took off early on the final change and the team was disqualified, which brought a disappointing end to their hopes of a national record. To football, and the Federated States of Micronesia soccer team made world headlines last month after conceding 114 goals in 3 matches, and many thought they would throw in the towel. But the players, who lost 30 points to nil to Tahiti, 38-0 to Fiji, and then 46-0 to Vanuatu at the Pacific Games in Port Moresby, have vowed to remain on the field. Coach Stan Foster said he was not concerned about the blowouts, and the competition was all about gaining experience for his players. EMTV's Shane Soroya with this report.
But post-match in PNG, some of the players could hardly muster a word to explain the losses. In their match against Vanuatu, they conceded goals at the rate of 1 every 2 minutes. There was even a suggestion that some of them might need counseling to get over the trauma of it all. But Foster said there was no trauma and everyone was very positive back home when they got back. With one of the players now intending to join a soccer league in Guam, and 2 others were also looking at a similar path. Such is the enthusiasm from the Federated State of Micronesia's squad that Foster is already looking ahead to the next Pacific Games in Tonga in 2019 and beyond that to 2023. With a bold statement made to ABC News, Foster said by then he believes the team will have improved enough to be competitive, at least among the Pacific teams. Foster said he takes his inspiration from Guam, who last featured in the Pacific Games in 2011 and took some heavy beatings, although nothing on the scale of Micronesia's brutal experience in Port Moresby. Foster is now hoping football's world governing body, FIFA, will step in with an offer of assistance for the Micronesian team. Shane Soroya National, MTV Sports.
That ends True Kai Sports for tonight. The weather details are up next. We'll be back after these messages.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Welcome back to the news. Now, before we take a look at the weather forecaster Jimmy Gamoga says the dry season and cold weather experienced in the city will continue throughout the year and may go on to next year, just like the 1997 dry season. With Port Moresby experiencing cold nights, temperatures have been between 18 and 17 degrees Celsius in the southern region. Other centres like the Southern Highlands reported hailstorms, and Kundiawa town is facing low water supply. The National Weather Service has recorded temperatures falling from 14 to 12 degrees Celsius within the Highlands region. This may be able to explain why districts like Yalibupangia are experiencing hailstorms as well. Gomaga said the cold weather is caused by low pressure winds coming in from the current El Nino being pushed towards Papua New Guinea. The next rainfall is expected in November, but will be below average. And now a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. In the southern region, Port Moresby, Popaneta, Alotau and Kerma, fine and dry. Fine weather as well for Daru. In the Momasa region, Lae, Wau, Medang, Wibak and Vanimo, you can expect sunny weather over the next 24 hours. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine for Lorengau and Kimbe, showers and drizzles for Buka, cloudy with showers for Kokopo, Rabaul and Kavieng. And in the Highlands region, mostly sunny for Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabag. And before we go, recapping our main stories for tonight, a 40-year-old church destroyed after claims of new land ownership. Health Department launches new vaccines to fight measles and polio, and Vipers and disappears out of the Intercity Cup race. And there is News, sports and weather for today, Wednesday, the 12th of August 2015. On behalf of the MTV News team, I'm Melba Tulo. Enjoy your viewing on MTV. Good night.